Goodness, that worked. And let's see if anybody pops up for the afternoon rage. Hey, Sicky, TCRS. TCRS has already got the inside story on this. I'm hitting dots to clear the screen because this is still the chat window on my machine here from this morning's chat. Yeah. Let's have a look at this one. Hey, Flex Alex, any parts? Alright, people, you can all stop hitting the full stops now. Alright, first thing we're going to do is get this 5S out of the way. This 5S is not the rage-inducing one, thankfully. This is just a bit of bad luck on someone else's behalf. Yep, off she goes. Alright, looks like everyone's a bit quiet. Just must be everybody wiped out from a hard Thursday night partying or something. Hey, Kevin Klinkmuller. Yeah, I really have the camera on the wrong side here. The camera should be on the other side so that you can see me disassembling these panels. There's not a lot of room on the other. I really need to just shift down a bit. Oh well, we'll do that for the next stream. Okay, it's out. Should be able to do these in about 10 minutes. Oh, we've lost a screw. Look at this little guy. This has gone for a bit of a rattle. Shaking that one right out. That belongs there. Hey, Cryj. Received those titanium tweezers. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I've yet to order mine. So you became the test victim before I had a chance. Hello. Sorry, I've just got to sort this out. Someone made a mention of something. I think I'm having a bad day here. Come on, hurry up, internet. No, I'm just going to wait for that to come up. I did a job this morning and it looks like there could be an issue with it. And what's really hilarious is I'm out of stock of all my iPhone 6 screens, really. Sticking out and loose. Oh gee, okay. Now I need to answer that one. I've got to make sure they don't try and push it back in. Okay. It's the last thing I want, and it happens far too often, is something just goes wrong with the assembly, and then people just naturally try to push the screen back in or something like that, and before you know it, they've cracked it, when you could have simply readjusted it, and you're down a screen, the customer's not happy. And yeah, everybody's just generally raging. Trying to sleep here. Oh, tough job there, Cryjo. Tough job. Hey, Cormac. Let's see. Make sure the phone. Well, it's. I checked it. I just did it this morning. The phone was straight, so it's not that. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on. It was a new type of screen. So normally I'm getting the refurbished ones, and they didn't have any refurbished when I ordered this batch. So I took the highest end, high-end clones. Like, I mean, you get the cheap clones, and then you can get the high-end clones. And I thought, alright, well fine, I'll go for the high-end clone, because it's actually the same price as the refurb. But I may have run into an issue with that. I don't know what killed this one. No, well, that's dead. We'll get to my Rage phone just now. Looks like I better pull the corners out of this one. This one's had a rough day. Now, using the good old G tool that some people like and some people do not like. But yeah, Kevin, I need to get a couple of those tweezers. Did you get the straight or did you get the angled ones? Because I'm kind of half and half either way. I don't know which way I want to go. I think this thing has been bent a few times from memory. This is one of my regular visitors in this shop. Ah, great. Come on. The problem I've got here is that there is a... I can't see what I'm talking about here. This top edge here is not just crumpled in at the top here. It's actually the whole thing is pushed in that way. Makes it hard to get out because you kind of have to lever it out, and you don't really want to do that too much because then you'll break. If you start trying to bend the tool down that way, you end up breaking this connection here, or this plastic bonding, and then you've got to get a new chassis. Right, where's my screen? There it is. On the iPad 2 and... oh, both the angled and straight. Cool. Excellent. I want to see how that goes. On the iPads and the iPhone 6s and things like that, then yes, the G tools are not that effective because there just simply isn't enough... there's not enough of a lip or edge there for them to get a decent purchase. So when then you try to wind it in, it just skips off the lip and then chews it out. So yeah, it is a lot. It's a lot more difficult. Okay. But certainly on the 5s, the 5S, you can even use the G tool on the 5C. Funnily enough, now I know the 5C is plastic, but there are times when that plastic can become quite severely deformed. So what you can do is you heat up the plastic and you just reshape it with the G tool. It does work, I've done it a few times. And on the 5C, you really need that chassis to hold, the case to hold the screen in. Because there was a bit of a period there where I kept getting people who would drop their 5C, and it would be a moderately light drop, but it was enough that it would cause a sideways sort of shearing effect on the flex in the screen, and it effectively tore the cable right out from inside the screen. And so the outside looked perfectly fine, but then the screen would stop working. And I had a few people really get up to me for that. And I was like, well, you know, you've dropped your phone, so there's no guarantees about how it's going to come out. And a lot of it comes about because when that plastic body starts to lose its tightness around the frame just sort of jumps around and causes the shearing of the flex. You can't see it, or anything like that, but it's enough. It happens all inside, probably on that glass FPC connection. I replaced a couple of them out of sympathy, but really I've got to stop doing stuff like that. You go broke being sympathetic like that. It gets a little tricky, and I'll talk about this shortly when I get to this next phone. It gets tricky in a small town because you're relying on having a good reputation, but at the same time, you know, you can't just let everybody walk over you. It's a bit of a balancing act. Contracted the Paul Daniels late night syndrome. Oh no, I don't think there's really much of a cure for that. Maybe you should watch Jessa instead. And then you can get the learning biology through iPhones lessons. Surprising how much you do learn from watching her streams, learning things that aren't iPhone related. Come on, there you go. Make sure you don't crimp that rubber gasket. Okay, that's good. Some flickering stuff out there. Sorry. It's just starting to go dark here in this town. Four screws at the top of the G-tool need to be tightened. Oops, someone's talking to me. Except that was an SMS. What? I'm a little behind on some jobs, probably because I've been too busy doing YouTube streams or watching YouTube streams. I'm just a bit tired from the last week and a half. Has been me staying up to wee hours of the morning, recovering data and preparing machines for people so that they can go to get their business underway the next day when it's daylight. Which means that I tend to slip behind on my normal daily stuff, and then I start getting messages. I will say this, never ever believe anyone when they say, take your time. It's a trap, alright? It's a trap. If anyone ever says, take your time, you make sure that is the first thing you put on your workbench and the first thing you fix before anything else. Because mark my words, take your time does not mean take your time. It means I'm going to act cool and casual and give you no boundaries on this, but I'm going to redefine those boundaries when I decide I'm having a bad day and I immediately have a bee in my bonnet and want that device back now. Likewise, the phrase of whatever it costs. You hear whatever it costs, just do it, you run. You run and you run fast. Or you just simply set a figure right there and then and make it something about twice what you're expecting it should be. And then, if you're lucky, you may only lose a small amount of money. Those sort of open-ended statements are red flags. You just got to avoid them. I mean, every now and then a legit case comes up and a person really doesn't mind if it takes time. Like I just did an iPhone 6 backlight filter, sorry. And that person waited a year and a bit for it. So that was one case. But on the other hand, I've got about a dozen or more every year that are not that way. Let's see. Still iPhone. Oh, the G tool on the iPhone 6 is that you need to tighten the G tool. Also, the tip of doing. Yeah, you got to take that camera off. Yeah, I found that as well. I've got a bit of a problem with my iPhone 6 G tool assembly. It's threaded or stripped or something like that. One of the grub screw holes, and that's kind of a pain. So I don't know if I can recover that or not, which is a nuisance because that's it's cost me $100 for that thing. The iPhone 5 version, I've definitely made my money back on that many times over, but the iPhone 6 one, not so much. Tools can be funny like that. You think you're going to make a fortune on one and you don't, and then some other generic tool that you really didn't think you'd ever use, you end up using all the time. You're going to go in, or are you going to give me crap, aren't you? Right, gently. There we go. Sometimes those mount points at the bottom of the phone, they extend a little bit too far. Or I should rather say that the chassis is pushed in too far. And I think you only do it once, but when you push down on the screen and you do that, the last bit, if they're a little bit too far and you're overlapping, you just crack your screen. Like I said, I think you do it once, and then you don't do it again. At least you better hope you don't do it again. Take your time, it'll take lots of time. Money is no object. Yeah. Retap the whole row. I could probably do that. I don't know what grade of steel they're using. I can't imagine it's anything too aggressive. I noticed that on the inserts that you use on them, they do have a hardened polished steel on them. But of course we're not dealing with that. Oh man, I wish they'd do something about this. This tip is pretty much useless now. Damn it. I've got another one around here somewhere. Not there. I've been pretty happy with these Baku screwdrivers, but I have started to notice that their tips definitely don't seem to be as tough as they used to be. I don't know whether they've changed their manufacturer or what, but I am chewing out the tips on things too quickly lately. I bought a new batch at Christmas, and I've noticed a lot of them are slipping and things like that. And it's not because of the gear, me doing anything. Because if anything, I'm actually softer on my equipment now. So I don't know whether I've dropped a grade of steel, but I'm going to have to change brands or something, which is a real shame because I like them. I like the weight, I like the grip, I like the spin up the top. It just works well with me. But if they're going to keep chewing out like that, I might not continue to use them. Retap the hole. Come on. Just waiting for this to come up. A nice crack up there, but it's not a real worry. Just checking that it all works the right way. Yep, cancel. Okay, we're good. That one is good to go. Put it on the charger. Alright, now I can get to my Rage phone. So, this one I did yesterday. And there was nothing out of the ordinary, no bend in the case, nothing like that, and it went out just perfectly fine. Couldn't imagine any reason for it to give me grief. And I get a message last night to say that they put the phone down and it cracked. And so you can see the crack up here. And I'm not going to get the focus on that. Anyway, and from the photo that was taken, it looked like that maybe when I reassembled it, I hadn't pushed it down flush, and perhaps one of the heads on the backplate, the metal backplate, maybe one of the screw heads had protruded a bit too far and was pushing it out of the, making a bit of a gap here. And I thought, oh crap, you know, maybe I did make a mistake, and it happens. So I said, fine, bring it in, you know, I'll sort that out. But now that I've got it in my hands, there's some other issues here. And one of them is that there is a chip crack here, and there is a chip crack here. Now to me, what that immediately says is that this probably was either crushed this way by something, like maybe something like that, causing the chip crack, and then up here, this is more of a compression failure, like if the glass gets pushed from both ends, it bounds up and then it fractures like that, or it's gone for a tumble. So I don't know. The only thing is, yeah, there's no distinct marks in here, but it's been sitting in a bumper case, like one of the silicon bumper cases. So any impacts and whatnot won't show up on the metal. So the problem is, this person has bought many phones through me before, and this has, well, it's less than 24 hours old, and it's already broken. And unfortunately, people do get the perception that when they get these things fixed, they have a certain period of time, say like 3 or 4 days, of unlimited warranty, where no matter what happens, you need to replace it for free, because it's only just new. I only just got it fixed yesterday. Why should I have to pay for it? I just paid that much money. I can't afford to buy another one. No. The thing is, once it's out of my hands, if you smash it like this, you're paying for it. I've had one where I handed the person, oh man, that just really ripped through. That's, yeah. I've handed a person their iPhone, and when they were going through their purse to pay me, they dropped it. That was fun. That was a real lot of fun. What I'm suspecting is that this person, I don't think they knowingly dropped it. I don't think they were there when this happened. I think what happened is one of their friends or something like that, maybe just accidentally, dropped it or crushed it. It could have been in a bag, which this actually happens quite a bit. It's in a purse or a bag or something like that, and the bag, maybe as they're getting into the car or something like that and they close the door for the car, it catches the bag, and then the phone is typically the biggest and hardest thing in there, and it does this. I've seen it before. The worst I've ever seen it is there was an iPhone 6 Plus, and that thing was folded up like a pretzel. Shockingly, the board was fine. I don't know how it managed to survive, but it did. And we straightened out the chassis and gave it a new screen, and there you go, it was all good again. But a lot of the time, it's definitely, like I said, the people haven't explicitly dropped it that they know of, but they've done something, and this is a pretty good example of it. And the unfortunate thing is that this is less than 24 hours old. So henceforth, in the mind of the owner, it has the omnipresent warranty. So as for what am I going to do about it? It's a bit of a difficult situation. I am obviously going to indicate to them that this was definitely not my fault. It was not an assembly fault. It was, something has happened, and I'll leave them to stew on that. Now this, I am out of these screens today. Everything happened in a cluster, as it always does in the universe. And all my iPhone 6 whites are gone. So I'm going to have to put in a temporary one. Such bullshit. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. They dropped on our stuff. It's a crush. This is pretty much a crush. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Cormac. That's basically what I'm heading for. They are regular, but it's, like I said, it does make it complicated because the fact that it's 24 hours, and I don't want them to get this mentality of the omnipresent or the universal warranty for everything that could possibly go wrong within a 24-hour period. It's a dangerous perception, and a lot of people do get it. Hopefully this isn't damaged, and what I'll do, I'll just send this back to get refurbished. Well, I won't get this explicit one back, but I send them in, and then the place just sends me back replacements. So instead of paying maybe, what do I pay for these? I usually pay about $65 for these refurbs. It'll be down to about $30 or something like that. So it's still going to hurt, but not quite as bad. There's no such thing as infinite limited time warranty. Yeah. Look for cracks on the scope. Oh, well, I don't need to look for the cracks there. They're pretty obvious already. It just happened to happen at a time that I'm running out of stock. And yeah. Yeah, there's actually a bit of a nick in this corner here. Which means I'm gonna... I often want to Dremel this out when it's that fine. But it is frustrating, and particularly on a Friday afternoon, because I'm not going to get more stock now until Monday, midday or so. And over the weekend I do typically get quite a few events happening. It would have been nice to... I normally have a good couple of screens on hand for the weekend events. And I don't this time, so that's going to be a bit of a pain. Yeah, I'm going to have to do this under the magnifying lamp. It's not a microscope level thing, this is a magnifying lamp. Yeah, Jonathan, that's right. And there I just demonstrated why that button is bad, where it is. I went to turn it off and I pressed that, and it caused the key clutch or whatever it is to jam in. Yep, that's angry. Alright, stop playing around with stuff like that. Do you have the customer complain you cracked the... What? Did you have customer complain you cracked the iPhone 3 back housing? Oh man, you mean the original plastic one? Yeah, I've had people accuse me of that, but what it actually is, of course, as you probably know, is the battery pops up and just splits it out. But yeah, I've had that. He said, you broke my phone, you broke the back of the phone. I was like, no I didn't. I said, you didn't, your battery just expanded. Because it always happens a few weeks after you've done the job, and then it's still your fault. I had one person It took me 6 months to get them to come back and pick up their phone. I'd been sitting on the shelf that whole time, and I had routinely charged it up because I was worried about that sort of thing. And so eventually, finally, the guy comes on, picks up his phone. I'm like, yay, thank God, you know, because it wouldn't answer the calls, wouldn't come and get it, nothing. Oh, yeah, I'll be around. Yeah, whatever. The usual sort of bad scenario. And so he picks it up, and I watch him go back to the car. He puts the phone into his pocket, his hip pocket, and he goes and sits in the car and drives off. And I thought, oh, crap. And sure enough, about half an hour later, I get a message. My bloody phone's broken. You broke it. I was like, what? Needless to say, I didn't warrant that one at all. I said, no. I said, I saw you sit down in that car with that phone in your hip pocket. I said, and that is why it's broken. I said, it was perfectly fine when I handed it to you. It's been fine sitting on the shelf for the last 6 months while you've screwed me around. I said, no. I said, go away. I'm not doing that one. I don't very often tell people to take a hike in that respect. And I don't ever say it in a brutal way or anything like that. But I simply, I'm very diplomatic about it. It's not my style to be confrontational. I can't handle it. But I will tell people no when it's really, really just too far. Okay, let's see if this sucker stays on when I put it down. Every now and then I get a screen that when you clip it all down, it goes black. It just, something wrong with one of the connections, the FPC again in the glass. And as soon as you fold it down, it shuts out. Have the official yeah, fat ass bro. I said, don't get me wrong, man. Yeah, 99% of my clients are very good, but you do get the occasional ones that come in with an attitude, and you can usually tell. You get a tingling in your spine that this is going to be trouble, and you try to pull the eject handle as quickly as you can. I've turned down quite a lot of jobs from potential problematic people. Pardon me. If I get that tingle, I don't want to deal with it, and usually I will check with other businesses that I trust in town. They're not they're not phone or technical repair people. I'm talking about just other shops such as mechanics and things like that that I know. And I occasionally consult and sort of go, yeah, do you know this person or anything like that? And they will give me an indication sometimes like, yeah, you got to watch that person, either get money up front or just stuff like that. Just warnings. Okay, this here is, it says flickering, but I think that's just a reused foam pack, bubble wrap, whatever you want to call it. It's not to say this doesn't have its own issues, but I'm not sure what they are. But because I don't have any other stock on hand, so I've got here in June I tested this and it says seems okay. So maybe I should trust myself. I didn't need to undo that. This is a pre-built assembly. I can just put this straight back on. Idiot. Oh well. I used to have a 240 volt Dremel, the mains powered, whatever you want to say. Someone stole it, along with a whole lot of other tools out of my workshop out the back. This is before I had everything closed off. This is like 10, 12 years ago now. And I bought a real cheap $29 one. Really didn't like it. Yeah, it was just bad. And then one day I saw that the hardware store had these battery-powered or lithium-powered Dremels, and I thought that's perfect for what I want. So I got it. It was like $99 or something like that, and it's brilliant. It doesn't have a massive amount of power, but it's got more than enough for working on this stuff. And it takes the standard bit sizes. It's certainly a very useful addition in the workshop here. I should put that on my products, tools and whatnot that I use. I find the cable Dremels, the 240 volt ones and all that, the cable is a bit cumbersome. It gets in the way, particularly when you're trying to do a delicate job. That weight can throw your control off a bit. Smoke from the iPad battery. Ooh, yeah. Good luck with that. Take it outside. I think about 6 months ago I had one of those with an iPhone. It had been crushed in a car event or something like that. It was passive when I first undid it, but then as I tried to remove it, because I could see it was damaged, as soon as I started trying to move it, it got all angry. It started flaming up and smoking in my workshop here. My workshop's at the far end of the house, so I had to go a long way through the house, spreading all those delicious aromas. Why are these... What's going on here? Huh? What's going on? Am I missing a... Maybe that's why I've got this in the... One of the bottom screws just goes straight in. It's like there's nothing for me to screw into or something. It could be that there's no thread on it. It's not bent back. It looks like it should be okay. Let me have a look under the microscope. It's this charge port repair starting at $25 home button. Whoa, that's way cheap. I just did a charge dock earlier and that was $90. Okay, what am I looking for here? Yeah, there's no thread in this thing. It's been... it looks like the manufacturing was a dud or something like that. Yeah, every now and then you get in a packet of screws, you get a screw that has no thread. Well, that's what's happened in here. There's no thread in there. It's just been hollowed out. That's okay. Like I said, this is a temporary until I get my proper stock for the day. And someone's been chowing out on this particular phone. Like on the chassis, it's all tapered out, which means someone's been having a good old day. Just put that in there with... I need a magnet to get that out now. Yeah, get my long magnet. Boom. Yeah. I'm just going to put a bit of nail polish on that. So I don't bother with phones here, it's just one person. Sugar, oh yeah. Yeah, when you get people like that who are just doing it dirt cheap, it really does make it very difficult to do realistic repairs. Well, just blinded myself then somehow. Now the reason why I'm putting nail polish on this is because it would be good if I could actually put nail polish on. It seems I'm struggling here a bit. I just wanted to sit in there until Monday. It's not going to go anywhere. If it does fall out, it falls out. I've got plenty of those. Didn't realise you're into nail polish, man. Yeah, well, you know, look at me. It's got the beautiful blue hands. Clean up iPhone charger port for 20. Yeah, I do those for 33. I just take my hourly rate, 132, and then I stick a set a minimum quarter hour on that, and then it's good. Let's fire this up again. We're good, that's good. And this here, let's put this in for refurbishing. On the HP laptop that we're working on, this is what I've done with that end cap that kept falling off. So basically drowned the whole area in the what do you call it, JB world. And then I also, someone's after me again. Blimey heck, what a day. I was like, what? People? Yeah, I'm just talking about that. Oh my goodness. Friday afternoon after hours and everybody's yakking at me, wondering where this stuff is. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Some things do take a while. Yeah, so it's been flooded with JB world and also in there, and then what I'm going to do is I'll just drill it out to the diameter I want. There's enough of a recess there that I can be guided. Now, the JB world that's up in here, that's going to require me to add another couple of millimeters on the length of the screw. So the screw will be not the standard one that goes in there, it will be a bit longer. But the upside is the JB world that's in there will form a stronger end cap plug. So it shouldn't pull out this time. Now I will have to face off the top here, because otherwise that will not sit down properly. So I'll face that off with the knife, and so there'll be no JB board on the top, but it will be on all around the side, and like I said, it'll be in here, and that's the most crucial thing, it being in there. So it basically grips the whole corner and pulls it down. So that'll be ready in about, well, for tomorrow morning. I'm not going to touch that in the meantime, otherwise I'll upset it. Alright, that's it. Looks like I'm done. Looks like I've got people raging all around me. Do I frequent the local JCar store? No, I don't. All my stuff comes through Element 14, occasionally from RS. I basically never order from JCar or their resellers or anything like that. 21, 20, no, okay, fix it. Oh, right, alright. Make it 21 dislike. Oh, yeah. I've got someone who likes to put dislikes up every now and then. That's pretty interesting. I know it's not Lewis. He does that for Joseph, but not for me. Oh, I don't really know if he does that. It just needs to be something someone keeps saying. Alright, I am going to go, and I have to go put on my diplomatic face and deal with these situations, but I thought I'd just show you that problem that I've got there. It's a bit frustrating on a Friday afternoon to have to deal with that, but you know, you got to deal with it. And as much as you try, you almost probably never can avoid it. So have plans in place for it, and watch out for those red flags too that I was talking about. And there's a dead mosquito. Lovely. Middle of winter and I've got mosquitoes still. So every time I open a laptop, I break the keyboard clips. Ooh, yeah, okay. So you just do a few more practice runs and get that right. So, thank you everyone for popping in, and I'm supposed to be coming up with a exit term, like Lewis says. I hope you learned something. Jessa was after one today. I offered her, what is it? No more, bro, less. But that doesn't really apply for me. I'll have to come up with something else. In the meantime, you all take care, and I'll see you next time.